7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. My name is Bill of W. Palmatier Photography.
I'm Justin of Justin Kerr Design.
And I'm Alicia with the Spark Social.
And together we make up
The Marketing Essentials team. Welcome to our podcast, guys. So we're here to talk to you.
We threw Alicia off there. I was waiting for her. She was looking at me like waiting for me to introduce her so she could introduce Nicole.
Right. So we have a guest with us today. She's not really a guest. She's kind of like, I don't know, that person who just shows up now because she's been on the podcast so many times.
What number are we up to now?
I think this makes an official 4.
Right.
I think I might need to work a little harder, though, to stay ahead.
Bob Salvis is going to be upset, but that's...
Sorry, Bob.
Nicole Eller, formerly of Ginger Green, but now my business partner in crime, whatever you want to say, of the Spark Social. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Alicia. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Awesome. So we're here to talk to you about, of course, social media marketing.
Surprise.
I was going to say, would it be anything other than that?
No.
Not if you want us to stay on track.
And even then, it's
I was going to say...
Even then, it's questionable.
We have a prayer staying on track already?
we're already off in left field, guys. So,
So today we're going to talk about, Nicole, would you like to read the title of today's podcast, please?
making me do this. All right, excellent. So we are going to talk about the STDs of social media marketing. And you may all be wondering what that means. We're going to be taking a look at the stats, trends, and data of social media marketing in 2019.
Now, we had in a previous podcast, we had a discussion about the correct pronunciation of data. Is it data or data? Do you know?
I don't. I go with whatever feels right at the moment. And occasionally I will think back to a particular Star Trek episode if I need to.
Okay.
I think Star Trek was mentioned in the last one.
See, I told you that was the pivot point. So, statistics,
Trends.
and data.
And
okay,
data,
that's
yes.
what we're covering today. All right, good.
Yes.
I'm on board.
So the stats, we can start with that because we just really want to outline a few things that we see, statistics relevant to what's happening with the social media landscape at this time. Social media is always changing. And then we'll get into the trends that we're seeing more and more marketers use, that we use for our clients, and some predictions we have. And then the data is basically how are those trends affecting us? You know, what are we seeing, what's working? Not so much the analytical data, but just how are we seeing these trends play out for our clients and other marketers right now? So some stats, some quick stuff about social media. 73% of marketers believe social media marketing has been somewhat effective or very effective for them. I think that stat just lays it out that social media is here to stay. It's not going to change. Landscape will, but social media is here. 2 hours and 22 minutes is spent per day per person on social media networks. We are an unproductive society, people. That is what that stat says to me. And roughly 2/3 of Americans have a Facebook. Now, going on to Instagram, even though Facebook is a huge player right now, Instagram is the fastest growing social media profile, I believe, still with 4.2 billion posts per day, 95 million posts per 4.2 likes per day and 95 million posts per day. Is that correct?
4.2 billion likes per day.
Yeah.
Billions
Yeah,
and
definitely not 4.2, just, end of story.
That number seems low.
Yeah, and I actually
Check my source.
I also wanted to mention that within those 2 hours and 22 minutes, we're actually doing about 300 feet of scrolling a day. So
300 feet?
In terms of just sitting there scrolling through your social media with your thumbs, we are doing about 300 feet of scrolling.
So
the strongest thumbs in the world.
Yeah, my thumbs went, isn't that the length of a football field, 300 feet?
Yeah. No, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
idea.
100 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
300 feet, yeah.
Your
So-
thumbs went a whole football field through that is insane.
Can you
Isn't it?
track that on your Fitbit?
Maybe I'll have to ask
Only
my
if you shake
husband.
your arm like this as you do it.
Oh boy.
This is how your customers are spending their time
Exactly.
at a high level. But if we go granular, we can look at the social media channels and the trends we see. So Instagram is one of them. Bots is another. And there's some data to back that up. So Instagram, what else? And then LinkedIn. You have some really good stats about LinkedIn, Nicole.
Yeah, so LinkedIn has one of the widest reaching of all of the social media sites. It is 70% of the users are actually outside the US. So if you do any sort of global marketing, especially B2B, that's a space you really need to consider and you really need to be in. In terms of monthly users, you're looking at 260 million. So each month, 260 million people are going on there and figuring out how to use it, how to build relationships, and also how to make a lot of noise.
Wow. Yep. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Pinterest is another one. We don't really talk about that so much today, but we do talk about bots a little bit today as a trend. So I just wanted to, not everyone is a fan of a bot. However, some of the stats that are out there revolving bots. And so what I'm talking about when I say bot are chat bots. And these are key for social media because while we still need to have a conversation with our consumers, chat bots enable us to speed up that process. And if you're not instantly available, the chatbot can get someone to the point before they're talking to a customer service rep. Yeah. So some of the stats, about 67% of consumers worldwide have used a chatbot for customer support in the past year, and 85% of all customers' interactions will be handled without a human agent by 2020. 40% of consumers don't really care whether it's a chatbot or a real human, as long as it gets them the help they need. So I think some of the bad experiences we've seen with chatbots is just marketers not doing their job because the chatbots aren't getting them, the information they need. Because I know some people have said they've had bad experiences with chatbots and that's led to them, being viewed unfavorably. But if you get what you need from a chatbot.
So what can go wrong with a chatbot experience?
So if you're not getting the right options, because it takes a while to be intuitive to see what the user is going to, want to do. So say you go into a chatbot and you have 3 options, but you want a 4th option. So you type in and then the chatbot doesn't react correctly because it wasn't programmed. And the user's like, I want to talk to someone now. There should be an option where that's, boom, instantly connecting them to a human.
Right.
It's just like it's almost like the equivalent of calling in on the 1-800 number. Those are like the old school chatbots in a way. It's like press 1 if you want this, press 1 if you want
the phone
that.
trees, yeah.
Yeah, so
Get lost in forever.
chatbots are basically set up by humans, and we can only
Intuit so much.
we can only predict the user. And so as we go, we can change those bots though on the fly and get that feedback, and good marketers should be doing that. So they do save businesses money, and there are some stats that I can post about that as well. We see them work in the travel, education, healthcare, finance, and real estate fields really well right now. So, and then the other trend that we wanted to touch on today is influencer marketing. And so if you're not familiar with that, that's hiring somebody it's kind of celebrity endorsement, spokesperson. It's bringing it down to a local level, right? Or just somebody who's more authentic and like a real person.
I mean, usually it's hyper local. So you get somebody who, people in your area might know and interact with. And there's more of that opportunity to actually see them in their space, whether it's like where they live or their region or whatever.
Can you give us a couple of examples? Because I hear influencers a lot. I mean, that term a lot. But I'm not quite sure I understand the difference between paid celebrity endorsement and influencer.
Well, generally, if you're talking about somebody who's an influencer, they're not a celebrity in their own right. So they didn't become famous through another way. Though that being said, there are plenty of celebrities out there that blur the line. So they may be considered celebrities now. But some of those like hyper-local influencers, locally, we have a couple people that we know, and especially in the food industry, who I would consider local influencers. There's Rhode Island Vegan.
Yeah, you could be a food influencer. You could be a mommy blogger. You could be a entrepreneur who is influencing other business owners.
So how does someone become an influencer? Is it something that they initiate, or is it like how organic is it?
I mean, you have to have a platform. So you have to have something that you're presenting to people, some reason for them to buy into, whether it's your belief about a particular product or a belief system around food, around retail, any number of things.
Fitness is a big one.
Yep, fitness, and then you have to be somebody that people want to listen to. If you're not somebody that people want to listen to, they're going to tune out. So it's about understanding. It's still marketing at its deepest
And
levels.
it's very powerful marketing. And I don't want to get too off track, but if you want to see the power of influencer marketing and how it can be used incorrectly, just watch the Fire Festival documentaries. And so not to go too far off topic again, but the background on the influencers was that they basically marketed this music festival with influencer marketing, no traditional marketing. And they used models and just Instagram influencers to build up the hype around this whole event. So and they sold their event out. The event went horribly. I don't want to, spoiler alert, I guess, but
I think everybody knows by now what happened with Fire Festival.
Right. So influencer marketing led to that whole event taking place. They didn't do any paid social. They didn't do any traditional. They produced like a video, but the video was just featuring the influencers.
Right.
So power of influencer marketing right there. And it's authentic. It's real.
Yeah.
When you're marketing something that's actually a good thing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you can do good things with that.
Right.
And then a stat on that is 39% of marketers in 2018 were increasing their budget for influencer marketing. And the average marketing company in 2018 was planning on spending $25,000 to $100,000 on influencer marketing for the year.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a small number, but it gives a kind of like that supporting trend some credit that money is being spent.
All right, so getting into the trends of social media marketing as this as we move forward, again, we're still very much all about the gram. That's when we talk to people, especially people who are younger.
For us older people, can you explain gram? Thank you.
All about the gram.
All about the gram.
It's got nothing to do with drugs, right?
I was going to say, it sounds like a drug deal to me, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
I
it's
was
just
thinking graham cracker. That would be my
because we just had some
because
work
I like
this weekend.
snacks.
it's all
you
about
tell
the
it's
gram
close?
and the juice box.
Can you tell it's close to lunchtime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bill likes Instagram. You're in a visual field, so you use it a lot.
Yeah. I'm definitely a fan of Instagram. Especially, it seems like more and more people are going to Instagram for the visual stuff than Facebook.
Yeah.
So when you
I
say
think
that
exactly what's
one of
happening.
the trends is it's all about the Instagram,
all about-
does
yeah.
that mean that it's the fastest growing platform, or what's
Yeah.
the trend?
So it is the fastest growing platform right now and has remained so for the last, I would say, at least the last 2 years.
Okay.
We're seeing more and more the younger generations going to Instagram rather than going to Facebook.
And what is the
Agreed.
data telling you about that trend?
That it's not a trend that's going to stop anytime soon.
I
would
feel like
agree.
it's
I would
going to
agree
start
on
to
that.
catch up to Facebook. Facebook is leveling out. I mean, when you grow so quickly, so much so quickly, you're going to plateau. And so Instagram is catching up. Will something eventually, take over in terms of where Facebook was? If so, I think it's Instagram.
Yeah.
That's my prediction on that.
Yeah. I mean, we know that Zuckerberg is a shrewd businessman, so I don't think he bought Instagram for no reason.
Right. And so Snapchat would be the equivalent of Instagram, but Instagram is, really raising the bar on what the functionality is on the platform, both from a business perspective, but from the user side. And this is a trend we're seeing with the stories. Instagram TV competes with YouTube. I think it could compete with YouTube eventually.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't ever see. The only reason I don't ever see it actually taking over YouTube is the whole landscape. I'm not landscape. Portrait only.
That's true.
People still want
The actual video
the
experience.
actual video
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think it could take over YouTube, but I think it's just a comparable
Yeah,
place to compete where video would be living.
I don't disagree. I'm just.
Or it could die completely.
I think-
the Instagram TV.
I think right now there haven't been enough people adopting it yet,
Yeah.
Right.
and I don't see that jumping right now. I'm hoping it will,
Right.
but I just don't.
Yeah, I mean,
see
Google
people
tried to
jumping
go
on it.
head to head with Facebook, and
Look what happened to them.
they
yeah.
lost.
Google
so
Plus
With the
went.
Google Plus pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram could lose to YouTube, but it remains to be seen.
I think
Right.
I think YouTube has too solid of a foothold right now for Instagram to take over. I mean, it could, but I don't see it.
I think Instagram stories though have a
Agreed. Snapchat killer.
Yeah, Snapchat killer.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree.
because you're talking about very different user interfaces. So
Absolutely.
you've got Snapchat where one, beyond just Instagram stories being, the competitor to Snapchat changed everything, overnight. And so you have a lot of people like myself who were like, well, now I don't really want to use this because, they moved everything around. And I mean, I can run with change. That's fine. But when you do it to me overnight and then I don't download the app again because I get a new phone, I'm not coming back. Now I use stories.
Sure.
Yeah.
And stories is very similar to Snapchat. So
Yes.
that's like
Yeah.
Plus, Instagram stories allow you to market your business, where Snapchat, it's a little harder
Absolutely.
to do that.
Yeah.
agreed.
I have a question for Nicole. So we're, sort of inside all of this, and you guys specifically with social media. So I'm thinking about, a typical small business owner, and we're talking about trends in social media. So number one, why would be important for a small business owner to follow any kind of trends in social media? And the second part of that question is, like, where did they focus? Because they have so much going on.
Right.
I mean, they only have so much spare time or time that they can devote to social media. So,
Right.
why follow a trend? And if so, what's the strategy there?
So I think it depends hugely on who you are and what you do. So what are you selling? What are you marketing? What kind of small business are you? If you are in a market to sell to millennials, you need to be on Instagram. Facebook is fine, and from many perspectives, it will work for you. But your millennial market is hanging out on Instagram. That's where they're consuming their content, whether it's the Instagram feed, the stories, or IGTV. That's where they're hanging out. And then, if you're talking about the why, so if you're marketing on Instagram, the reason that you need to be using both the feed and stories is because they serve two different purposes. So the general feed, which is the scrolling, that is usually, you want a really nice eye-catching photo and a great caption that tells you or tells the user something about your business, who you are, and, why sort of your brand story space. And then when you go to your stories, sorry to confuse all the language, but then when you go up to your stories, and I say that because the stories rest at the top of the screen, that's your space to really sort of give a behind the scenes image. It's a little less formal, a little less curated. It can be very loose. You can kind of do what you want with it. And because it only lasts for 24 hours. So it's 24 hours and then it's gone, and you can put the best pieces of your the highlights in your highlights section on your profile page. So what it does is it allows you to not only have multiple presence and tell multiple stories, it also allows you to beat the algorithm. So that scrolling tends to be dictated by an algorithm, whereas stories tends to be more dictated by the user's actual usage. So the algorithm is a ton of different stuff going on, whether it's the hashtags you're using, the type of content someone's interested in, or how frequently they interact. Stories tends to be just how frequently they interact. So if you can grab someone's attention and keep them coming back for more, your story every time you post is always going to show up there to them as a new story.
Okay. So the trend here is, Instagram is quickly growing.
Well, I mean,
And-
yeah. Sorry.
And if you know your audience,
Yes.
And that audience includes millennials, you need to be on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I really like the way you laid out sort of the two different channels within Instagram.
Right.
The grid, where you're posting stuff, and that's more curated and it shows your brand. And then the stories, which give you behind the scenes, they're a little looser, a little less formal. And the stories actually put you in a better position to show up in someone's scroll.
Exactly.
Okay. Whew. Oh.
It's a lot, and they're
Yeah.
always introducing new features
Yeah.
too. So
Exactly. Just like we're talking about IGTV. And one thing I'm curious about is, so they launched it and I was not I was not going to adopt it a first adopter or whatever the trend.
I was excited about it. I went into it. I'm like, oh, this sucks.
That's
Right.
yes. So
No, seriously, I went into it thinking this is going to be great, and I just don't like the format of it.
right.
Yeah.
And so I do see influencers using it in a lot of cases, especially retail or personality wise influencers like lifestyle brands. But I will say that what they've done now is they've moved snapshots of the TV into the feed, so you can actually put it as a post and it shows up. I'm curious what the trends in the data and stats will reflect from that, because for me it sounds a little bit like people aren't using it and they're not really getting into utilizing it. And so Instagram is like, okay, well, how can we bring people into this? And I don't know if it's going to work.
I think it's confusing. Quite frankly, I think when you go over to Instagram TV just to look at their app,
I haven't even used it.
I tried, and the problem is it's not intuitive. Like when you're on YouTube, you can get a list of suggested videos and stuff like that. Instagram doesn't do that. They just scroll things in front of you, and you're kind of like, do I want that? No. Do I want that? No. Do I want that? No.
But you have to do the work.
You have to do the work
Yeah.
to find your way around it. Whereas with, like I said, with YouTube, you'll get a bunch of suggestions, and you'll see it all listed out, and you can pick what you
Right.
want. If you're listening Instagram, go with that.
So, moving on beyond Instagram, which is a huge trend, and I think even service-based businesses should find ways to be on Instagram, which is a whole nother podcast because you do need visuals, but there are ways to do it. But moving on to the other trends, influencers kind of play right into Instagram because it's a place where you see a lot of influencer
Agreed.
marketing.
Agreed.
I think Instagram may have started the whole idea of influencer marketing outside of the other topics that we talked about with spokespeople and celebrity endorsements and things like that. So I would agree that influencer marketing and Instagram pretty much go hand in hand. You might see YouTube. We're talking
Yeah.
a lot about YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know why we keep going to it, but yeah, I was going to say I think it would be a close tie as to whether YouTube was the beginning of
Maybe
the
they were
influencers.
the originals, yeah.
But I don't know for sure. But again, but I think you're also looking, and not to belabor it, but I think you're also looking at two different areas. People that go onto YouTube tend to go with longer form videos. They're going to be watching.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem watching a 10, 15-minute video.
Absolutely.
You're on Instagram, you're already held to 1 minute anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know what is Instagram TV allowing nowadays. I don't even know.
I'm not actually sure. Like I said, I am not a consumer of
Me either.
of IGTV, and I'm not a producer.
Yeah.
I know posting a video directly onto Instagram is limited to 1 minute.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Right.
Instagram TV.
Well,
Yeah.
and
I'll
even
look
the
that up.
stories, I think. I mean, you can post a long one, but it's going to be torturous for whoever's watching it.
Yeah, I hate
It's
that.
15 to 30 seconds, but the little snippets are 15 seconds.
Agreed. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there are a few that I show up on my story sometimes. And I'm like, and scroll.
yes.
I was sitting next to my 19-year-old daughter the other night, and she was going through her Instagram feed, and I seriously got vertigo watching her just scroll, flip, scroll. Yeah, I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I got to wonder if, what's driving what? Is the short attention span of millennials and even younger, the Generation Z, driving the platform, or is the platform driving the short attention span? And
Yes.
in terms
Yeah, yeah.
terms of
A little bit of
marketing,
both, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yes.
I don't know if it's a good trend or not.
It's kind of like when USA Today had to change their newspaper to be more like TV to keep people
Well, I mean-
engaged in the newspaper.
I mean, think about it. We've talked about it in the past. Even when it comes to websites, people will go on and pretty much decide within the first 7 to 10 seconds
Yeah,
if they're sticking
if
around.
that, yeah.
If they're sticking around, and that's part of what
Right.
we've become as a culture from
Yeah,
Facebook and
it
everything
might take
else.
them, it's a short span of time to decide whether they're going to stay or not. But once they do, you can have long form material on
on a
your
website. Sure.
Instagram is just
No, Instagram's not.
a long form platform.
No,
Not at all. Not
no,
at
because
all.
we're talking about how much trouble they're having moving from the grid and the feed to IGTV, and I'll watch about a minute of somebody talking to me on in my feed, but then when it's like cuts off and it's like to see the rest, you have to go to IGTV. I'm like, I'll
That's,
just keep scrolling.
that's why it's an interesting trend that's been happening also is a lot less people have been putting video up on Facebook for the same reason because you're starting to get those breaks halfway through on the longer form
The
videos
ads.
with the ads.
They're awful.
And,
And we're
YouTube's
advertisers.
YouTube's the same way.
Yeah.
What's that?
YouTube's the same way.
Yes and no.
But they're not interrupting in the middle. That's at the beginning,
YouTube,
right?
you could. The only ones you're going to get that on YouTube is the monetized channels, and they get to choose. They get to choose where the commercials go, whether it be in the beginning or the end of the video or in the
Okay.
middle.
Gotcha.
But when it comes to non-monetized channels, ads won't show up in the middle. Like for instance, we use our YouTube channel because we're not a monetized channel. You'll never see an ad. You might see one at the very beginning when it opens up, 'cause
Right.
but
Okay.
never cutting the
Yeah.
middle ones.
Okay.
So
Anyway.
I think that actually it brings though back to the point of influencers. While video is great, but influencers can make these quick little pictures of them at a new location or a funny story, and it drives that engagement.
Sure.
So it's also like being authentic, but then you're avoiding like that whole situation where the ads are popping up in a long video. It's just something quick and people can take it in very quickly. And plus the hashtags on Instagram allow you to curate like a very niche following because, you know, who's going to be looking at a hashtag that says like Rhode Island foodie unless you're a foodie? Who's going to be looking at a hashtag? Right, exactly. So it allows you to kind of narrow in your focus and reach the right people. What I don't like about Instagram is that you can't really direct traffic beyond it. You really stay within the Instagram
Because
feed.
they don't allow links, right?
Yeah, so that's
Until you get to a certain size, and then you can,
Yes.
you know, you
I
can
think
have
it is,
swipe
what,
up in your
1,000 followers
stories.
or something like that. I forget what it
Yeah, I
is.
think it's more than that for
Is
the
it
swipe
now?
up, but
I think you could do, and you can do it with paid ads.
Yeah.
And if you have a business profile, you can list your website.
Yep.
But it's not as like Facebook allows it to happen, I guess, more.
Right. I mean, it's very
frequently.
easy. It's one click for somebody to go off Facebook, but you know, we also know that the algorithm will reduce your reach. Will, you know, there are limitations on Facebook as well, but you're right. Instagram, I think, forces you to sort of stay in that space as best they can. Yep.
And so with influencers, I would urge local businesses to use them. I think Instagram is a great platform for them. And it allows you to make that human connection with the brand. You see a face that's representing the brand.
Absolutely.
On the flip side, bots are not human, but they are a trend.
Yes, absolutely. So I think when we talk about bots, we talked a little bit earlier about the limitations of those bots and sort of needing to have that human element behind them. But when it comes to getting really quick questions answered or making contact with someone and feeling like you're actually being heard, bots are the perfect space for that. Like you just, you know, you have a question that you need answered and you click a couple of buttons and there you go, you know.
It's almost like I think a bot should be looked at as, sorry, Nicole, taking the place of like a form versus taking the place of a human.
Yeah.
So instead of going through this incredibly like painstaking process where you have to enter all this information, the bot can say, okay, this is your name, this is your email, is this correct? Because it's grabbing that from social media. And the person just has to check yes instead of fill out the whole form.
Absolutely.
And then if it can get it to a customer service rep or get it into a CRM where that information can be quickly aggregated and give that person the answer they need, then it's done its job. If it answers, you know, a quick question like, I need to see a menu if it's a restaurant, and the bot's like, okay, here's the link to the menu.
Exactly.
Instead of, because we get those types of questions all the time on social media. And it's like, just go to the profile, click the website link, and there you go, the menu right there.
But that's
if a
too
bot
much.
was there, a bot could get the menu to them before an actual human.
Absolutely.
Can answer.
I think that's why we'll continue to see that sort of moving forward in the sense that you're, you know, describing. I do think that the challenge will be not overloading people with automation because the human element is still so important to social media.
Yeah, it's more like just making it easier for them,
Exactly.
not taking the place of a human.
Yeah, agreed.
So
In the just couple of minutes we have left, I was hoping Nicole might be able to touch a little bit, come back to LinkedIn,
Yes, of
and
course.
talk about since you're the
The LinkedIn, the local LinkedIn expert. I
yes,
guess.
talk a little bit about ads and some message strategies for LinkedIn.
Yeah, so LinkedIn has gone through a lot of changes over the last year. We all probably know that and realize that. I know recently, you know, they added choices for responses on posts and things along those lines. And
Yeah, I was not sure I liked those.
Saw that.
they're not my favorite. Again, I look at LinkedIn as a prime space to build relationships. That is what you're doing. B2B marketing, which is the main point of LinkedIn. It is so important to build a relationship. Even beyond, the short form content that you can consume on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and the other big ones, Pinterest and everything. LinkedIn is all about relationship building. And so while advertising is growing on that platform, you really have to already sort of have that growing relationship with the people that you're trying to advertise to. So I think it's a perfect space for B2B remarketing. So sort of retargeting and coming up again to them. Maybe they visited your website and they weren't ready to move through, but now you want to show up to them again and offer them something, offer them more than what they got while they were there the first time. And in regards to the messaging strategies, I have strong feelings because it is also a sales platform, but I think salespeople specifically have a habit of focusing strictly on numbers and not on what that relationship they're actually building is. So they just, send out 100 messages and they know that statistically speaking, they'll probably get, 20 people actually read the message and they might get, 5 of those that are going to sort of interact with them. And, out of that, they'll get 1 hit. which is fine, but it doesn't work and over the long term. I mean, that's you really, really need to be focused on how is my message curated to help someone.
Right. I mean, it's the thing you described earlier. It's a short game.
It is. Yeah.
And you might get a 1% return.
Right. If
But
you're
if
lucky.
you take the long view and you develop those relationships,
Right.
you're definitely going to get more than a 1% return.
Yeah.
It's like going to a networking event. It's professional,
Yes.
and you shouldn't walk into a room and just like
Hand
be
your
like
business card out.
spraying content everywhere about yourself. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
That's one of my pet peeves.
Yeah.
You go to a network event and someone's just coming around shotgunning business
gosh.
cards
And
without
we just
even,
leave them on the table because
Yeah. It's
what
like,
are you going to do?
You haven't talked to me.
Nope.
You haven't shown any interest in me. It's
Yeah.
like,
I have a good example that actually happened this past week where somebody sent me an in-mail message, which means they paid for it in one way or another, whether it's through their profile because they have Sales Navigator or, they actually bought a bulk of in-mail messages. So they paid to send me this message, and it was, I forget the name of the company, but it had to do with lead generating. And it was an interesting pitch. So I was like, all right, well, I want more information. Like, can you let me know, can you give me a little bit more information about this? Well, instead of writing me back, no one wrote me back. My phone started to ring. And I got a voicemail from someone in Duluth, Georgia that was telling me that so-and-so sent them my message asking for more information and they'd like to talk more and they'd like to book a demo. I didn't ask for any of that. I didn't ask for anyone to call me. I just wanted a little bit, send me to your website because the website was missing. So send me to your website, give me a little bit more info. I'm not ready to bite yet. And so that's an example of like one of the reasons we just... harping back to chatbots just a little bit, is that can actually like give you a better idea of where your person is in your sales funnel, as I'm putting up air quotes that no one can see, in your sales funnel. So, understanding that a request for more information is not necessarily a request for a phone call. It might be a request for a follow-up message though. And so, sort of giving more than just, hey, I want to talk to you right now because I'm trying to, book with you.
right.
Now, to go back to that, you're just talking about the shotgunning of cards. The same thing happens, I think, in LinkedIn world.
That's exactly what I mean.
It
Yeah.
is, well, no, I mean, somebody I may know that sends me a LinkedIn request and I accept that request. 5 minutes later, I get an email. No, I don't want you emailing me trying. I
Right.
accepted you, but I may not be. I'm interested at all in your stuff. Don't
Right.
send me something unless I request it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because to me, that's the reason I don't like bots.
Right.
Because when you go to a website or a Facebook page, and all of a sudden the bot's in there, how can I help you? I didn't ask for your help
Yeah,
yet.
it'd be
I
like
don't want
meeting somebody for the first time and them saying, hey, you want to buy a house together?
Right.
You're like, moving
yeah.
a
I
little
don't-
fast here.
I mean,
Right.
a quick example, I just had somebody Facebook request me, and I accepted. 2 minutes later, they're trying to sell me.
Yeah. No, that's especially on Facebook.
Are you kidding me?
Like LinkedIn, it doesn't offer me any surprises because I think I've gotten used to it. And that's why, with clients that I'm coaching through things, I say to them, your message back is not like your message back from that introductory message of, hey, I'd like to connect with you, is not, here's everything I can do for you. Let me know how I can help you. It's, hi, how are you? I would love to talk more. This is who I am, but what I really want to know is who are you? Because you really need to put it back to them to get back in touch with you. So
if you have to wrap it up on the trends, and so what do we have the STDs of social here, statistics, trends, and data.
Yep.
If we have to wrap this up, Nicole, how, because we do.
And we do have to wrap this up.
That would be
So-
a yes.
What would you tell businesses to do with the STDs of social media?
just pay attention. Get checked. So in regards to the STDs of social, you really need to make sure that you're paying attention to the ongoing trends, stats, and data. You know what's going on out there in your marketing world, and you're able to reach out to professionals, or at least have some sort of acumen to get it done and to pay attention and know what you're doing.
Right. Not all the trends are going to work for everybody. Some statistics are not going to apply to your business,
Right.
but speak to someone and figure out which STD is not.
I'm sorry.
Which STD is right for you? If it lasts longer than 3 hours.
But they're out there. The information's there. Find someone who can help you come up
Absolutely.
with a plan to put
Absolutely.
these trends in place
Yes.
if needed.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Time to say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
With that, I guess until next time.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. See ya. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, you can find the back episodes of our podcast on Apple Podcasts, and you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Both of them are the Marketing Essentials team.
You can find us on the web at marketingessentialsteam.com. And if you subscribe through our website, you'll receive a weekly email and letting you know when each episode has been published. Also, you'll receive a link to subscriber-only content.
You can also find us on Facebook in our private Facebook group. Just search Little Roadie Marketing Support Group. It's a great place for other marketing professionals and business owners where we can share marketing advice, challenges, and general trends. Hope to see you there.